Hello, my friends. This is Melanie with Melanie Smith Stamps, and I want to welcome you to the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel. Today, we are playing with the Honeybee Stamps Lovely Layer window and the window holiday add-on. Now, this here is the original window die set, and it is amazing with the shutters and the window panes and all the different details in the window. You've got the curtains, then you have the gorgeous branches that just, or vines that just go around the arch, and the flowers for spring. Then you have the add-on, which makes the window a dormer style window, which is very unique, and that's what we're making today. We're creating a dormer style window. You have all these decorations that are going to create a Christmas scene, and I love that Honeybee does this. It makes add-on sets that create a totally different look to your original set. So this is really neat. We're going to add snow, we're going to get festive, add a Christmas tree, and we're just going to have some fun. So let's jump in. But before we do, let me show you what we're going to use for our background. I've chosen, when I was shopping in the store, I chose to get this rustic brick. It's called the Rustic Brick Wall 3D embossing folder. And I'm going to show you a little tiny technique here that we're going to do together to give us a nice background to our window. Now, dormer windows usually come out of the roof, but I thought the brick would be a nice alternative. So this is here the technique I did on a couple other colors, and now we'll do it together here. Now, when you open your embossing folder, look for the side of the embossing folder that is indented. That's the side we're going to go ahead and ink with some Distress Oxide inks. Now, with the lighter color, I was going, and I was just experimenting here, but I was going pretty heavily with the lighter color. And then with the darker color, I just tapped it a little bit. As you can see here, I just kind of tap. I was scared it was going to get too dark. So we just started this, and I was just playing around to see how this technique was going to unfold. So I closed this and I ran it through my die cut machine with my, recommended sandwich for 3D embossing folders. And it wasn't quite enough for me. So I went in this second time with a little more heavy-handed with the dark, because I wanted a little extra dark in there. And then I went a heavier handed, even more so, with that light, just to give it a little mix, I wanted to mix in that dark. So just play around with it. But my idea here was to get the background of the brick, like those crevices, just some extra detail. That was my goal. I didn't want it to just be solid cardstock. I wanted to have just some variations, just minor variations behind my cobblestones. So that's what I ended up achieving by doing that. Of course, if you want more variation, I wanted subtlety, but if you wanted more, you could go darker. Now, we're going to go ahead and use some Barely Art glue here in the beginning with our pieces, and go ahead and attach our pieces. With this first piece, I'm lining up the tippy top of the roof part there of the die cuts. With this bottom piece, I'm lining up the bottom. Now, my fingers are starting to give me some problems. I think I have a little arthritis starting in my fingers. So I do switch out my glue here for my press here in just a minute, which holds Nouveau glue bottle, but it also has Barely Art glue in it. So I chose a piece of pattern paper. It's also a Honeybee pattern paper, But I chose a piece of pattern paper to act as wallpaper in the window, which I thought was really cute to do a little wallpaper, pretend, rather than having just a glow in the window. I thought you could definitely ink this with like a light yellow or use a pale yellow paper in your window just as options, but I thought we would go with a wallpaper. So now we're going to assemble the window. These little shutters have areas here to go ahead and add your glue. I accidentally started adding it to the front, but that's okay because these shutters get sandwiched in between these two layers of window. So it's perfectly fine that I added that glue on the front because it's going to get all covered up. So you add these windows here on the sides, and then we're going to completely glue that top piece over top, which is going to cover all the seams. And it's beautiful the way Honeybee thinks about all these little details because it gives such a finished ending to your window. And your window does open a little bit there in the center. And you could totally make this a hinged window if you wanted to. But I opted to keep it a closed window, a finished window. But before you glue that on, of course, you need to put whatever you want inside the window. So we're going to go ahead and adhere our Christmas tree. And I'm not going to decorate it just yet. We will add some baubles to it at the end, but I wanted to make sure we got our window glued down first. But we are going to add the star. I cut the star from some gold foil paper, and we'll just add that to the to the top of the tree here, which I thought was a perfect topper. So now we'll just glue around the edges of our window and a little bit on the top of our window pane. And you totally could put some acetate in here as well and make it, a glass paned window look. That would be kind of cute to add some acetate there. And I just place that there and adhere it. I had a little glue coming out there, but that was easy to fix. And our window is just about done. So we'll get all of that put together. Now there's a little ledge down here, and I'm going to go ahead and just glue that underneath the window pane. So I'm going to add just a little bit of glue right there in the center, and then place it right under that lip by pressing down right there and picking it up. It's perfect. Fits right there. And I matched it to that piece in the background there that looks like it's the lip underneath the roof. Figure all the trim can match. And then we're going to add our railing there in the front. But before we do that, we will do the arch that goes above the window. And this is a 3-piece set. I opted to go by the printable. There's an online printable that you can download. And I opted to go like the printable and do this in 3 colors. But you could also match the railing and do all of these in the same color. So like if you wanted to do foil, let's say you wanted the wrought iron instead of a dark color to be maybe a metallic, maybe a gold metallic or a silver metallic. You could totally do that and then make this the same, and it would totally change the look of your window. There's so many options here. I just love that about these layerable die sets. So we're going to glue this on the top here, and then this is where we'll attach our snow when we finish our snow. So I love that. It just makes the whole scene come to life. So I'm going to just hook my reverse tweezers here just to help that glue down and stay in place while it sets. And then there's this little tiny piece of railing that finishes the bottom here of this. And I wasn't quite sure how this piece worked. I think it goes on the bottom, and it's supposed to go at the top of the rail that or the trim that we put at the bottom. I'm not 100% sure. I was just taking some designer um, liberties here, but I think it's supposed to finish when you attach this to the actual trim there that I already added behind the window. So I was just adding this to make it look finished. And it did indeed make the whole thing look finished when it was attached. So now we're just going to finish this up by adding a little bit of extra glue under here because I had just only put glue on the bottom. So that was my doing, but it just looks perfect when it was done. So let's grab the extra add-ons and add the garland and the snow. Now I'm going to put a little 3D foam on the back of the garland and just attach it right there to the banister on these two high points. I thought that would give it just a little dimension, and then we'll add a couple poinsettias right on those high points as well, just to give it a little kind of contrasting color there on the outside. I think that will just make it really pretty, and then maybe we'll embellish the centers of those later at the end, just to give some color and some dimension. I like doing that with my cards. So we're going to just add a little extra glue here on the top layer of the poinsettia, and you just layer the two of these together and offset the petals, and then we'll just do that for both of them and add those straight on. I'm not doing anything fancy with these petals, just adding the layers together and adding them straight to the garland. I'm just fiddling with the 3D foam here. It was going a little wild on me, and I was just moving it around so that I couldn't see the white part of the foam from the front. I cut that one little piece of foam in half there on the left just so I wouldn't see it. That's all I was doing, is disguising it. And I really didn't need to, because I put these little flowers right over where the foam was, so the flowers are going to hide it anyways. So you don't need to fiddle with it as much as I did. Now we're going to take these icicles. I cut all this snow out from a fancy paper I had in my stash. It's just some sort of, I don't even know where it came from, some sort of mirror, kind of like holographic type paper. So just dig through your stash and see what papers you have. Have some fun with it. You don't need much when you're dealing with little die cuts like this. And it's so fun to just use what you got and just cut these little pieces out and add them to your fun projects when you're dealing with little die cut sets like these honeybee sets. I just love to grab sets like this when I'm shopping and then use the little papers in my stash to make them come to life. I love how these are just designed to go right over the window, and this little piece here just sits right on top of the roof. It's just perfect. They just think of everything when they're designing these. And then we have 4 tiny pieces, and they actually go on the roof itself. But let's just go ahead and attach this. And I just think it's adorable. I just love the way this turned out. And as something about adding it to the blue background, my parents' house, my home house that I grew up in, had blue paint, and I never understood why my parents painted it blue, but I think that's where the blue comes from. My mom would call it Wedgwood blue, and that's what that background makes me think of. But we're going to add some of this snow here, and let me tell you, if you do not have a pair of these reverse tweezers, you need to grab them. They are your best friend if you want to get into this layering die cutting. They are wonderful. So we're just going to add these perfect little tiny piles of snow on the roof and just finish these little layers off, and then we'll add some embellishments, and this card's going to be ready for giving And the person is just going to light up when they see this card, when they take it out of the envelope. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is a 5x7 size card. I did that so that the brick would have room to be seen. I thought the brick embossing was so special. So I'm grabbing some gems and some pearls out of my stash here and just giving the poinsettias some pearls. I did some 2 small and 1 medium pearl in the center of each of my poinsettias. And then we're going to just take some little rhinestones and add rhinestones around on the Christmas tree. I'm using a pointy tool to just add my embellishments. Any kind of pokey tool will work. This just I find easy because the adhesive sticks to the pokey tool, so it just helps me to pick them up, especially when you have nails. Now I added these gems in my final photo of the card. You will see I added even more after the video. So I did add a photo of the card here at the end for you to see up close. So I hope you will check that out here at the very end of the video. I just alternated these pastel colors of rhinestones here and there, kind of offsetting the colors. And I really like the way they just they weren't too bright and bold. They were just enough to give it that sparkle and color through the window. It just finished the card off perfectly. I hope you have enjoyed today's video and that you will check out the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel and all of our cards. I have purposely stamped and die cut this sentiment here. I forgot to mention. This is the Home for Christmas Sentiments by Spellbinders. It's a Giannis Makula set, and it is also available at Scrapbook Pal. But the designers and I love for you to stop by the YouTube channel here and see our creations that we make for you. And I hope you'll pop on over to the store and check out the products. Don't forget before you leave to hit that subscription icon and subscribe, and we hope you will come back and visit us really soon. Thanks for stopping by today, friends. Here's a close-up of the finished card and the photo to follow. Bye-bye for now.